Saban Jamelang Mulweni, Abushani de Macharoni, Salam Alaikum Namaste, good day, Khuydah. Away Masakaners, my name is Winston and welcome back to my channel, Bushi Sadbur. On this channel, we discuss everything relating to small scale farming and those small projects that you can do yourself, save on some money, and enjoy the fruit of your labor. And in this video right here, we are harvesting tomatoes, cocktail tomatoes that we never planted. Well, guys, you guys know this area over here where I planted some veggies. It has been raining for a couple of days, and you can see what it does when it rains. It starts producing those weed. So I'm gonna have to come and clean up here. So you guys remember when I started cleaning this, I'll leave a link here. There were onions planted. I actually took out the onions, and you can see I started planting them in rows so that I can give them space to grow. I don't know if it's gonna grow bigger. I don't know. We'll see. If it does not, because it's like almost a year that the onions have been here, but it has not been growing any bigger. It still stayed small, and I tried to take it out and separate it a little bit, plant it in singles, and we'll see if something happens over the winter or even going into spring or summer. We'll see what happens. This is just something I'm testing, and if it does not grow any bigger, then I'm gonna just take it out and plant my own onions. But you guys also remember that I planted a few things. I'll leave a link over here, and then after planting the pumpkins and stuff, the pumpkins were the only things that grew, and the goats ate it, and then I kind of like neglected it. So it started growing a whole lot of weed here, and I'm starting to prepare this garden. But as I was starting to clean, I found out that there are tomatoes still grown, planted here, and I'll show you exactly what they look like right now. You can see that. Let me just go back a little bit so you can get a nice view over what's happening. There you go. So those are the two plants. So I just made a contraption just to keep them up. There's still a few branches that's hanging off that I will be suspending off the air or lift up so it doesn't fall down. But that's the plant that I got that was growing among some weeds when we were cleaning out here, and some of the branches broke it, as a matter of fact. But this is actually tomato. I thought it was tomatoes, normal tomatoes, but it's actually cocktail tomatoes. And let me go closer so I can show you why I say it's cocktail tomatoes, because here are a few that has already ripened, and this is as small as it gets. It does not grow any bigger than that. So before we start harvesting these tomatoes, I wanted to show you that tomatoes, cherry tomatoes, cocktail. This is cocktail or cherry tomatoes, the small ones that you will find normally in your salads, and then you have the normal bigger tomatoes that grows a little bit bigger. I'll show you one of those plants. They're starting to grow, but I'll do that later or in a later video. But I'll maybe show you a clip of it once I'm done here, and I'll include it in this video. But what I want to show you is that they grow the same way. I want to come closer and show you that once they start showing those yellow flowers, like over here. Let me turn this camera around. So once they start showing that yellow flowers like that, you'll know that it has to be pollinated, and you leave that up to the butterflies and bees and whatever insects. You'll see there's more, so we can expect some more over there. There's some more growing over there. Here, some here growing here. Here, some will grow over here, and I can go on and show you a lot of them, because cherry tomatoes actually grows very fast and very a lot actually. So what will happen is once those plants, that flowers, are pollinated, it will start with tomatoes. And let me find some smaller tomatoes that started growing over here, right over here. So these ones were pollinated, and it starts growing like this, and it will grow in a cluster like this. Now let me go back to the ones that are a little bit ripened. You will see that it grows in a cluster of like 6 to 8 tomatoes, and you will find that the two closest to the stem, so here's the stem over here, and this is actually, you can see that this is actually a branch of the stem that is connected here. So the two closest to the stem will be the ones that are the biggest, and those will be the ones that will ripen quicker. All right, because they are closest to the food source. This is how they grow. Now there are two ways to harvest tomatoes. Point number one, you can leave them like here, like this, to turn red and then harvest them, but then you run the risk of bugs and birds and rodents eating your tomatoes. So but if you like for instance, in my case, it was raining for like a good couple of days, so I haven't been spraying over here, and I'm just and because it's under shade, I don't think the birds comes in here. They don't come in here, as a matter of fact, and it's actually very safe. But you want to keep your tomatoes protected if you're going to leave them to ripen all the way like this. So when you harvest, I'm supposed to bring a shears or the clipping shears. When you harvest it, you want to harvest it with that little flower, with a piece of the stem over there, because then it will allow the tomato to ripen even further. So let me take off these ones here, and I'll show you what they look like once I've taken them off. Oh yeah, sorry. Point number one, you want to harvest them like this. This one is like a nice and firm. I will actually eat it right now in the kitchen. It will taste very sweet. I'll give some to the kids. Let's see what they say. And then secondly, you want to harvest them once they start blushing. And blushing means that, you know, when they grow green, like they actually look like this, like totally green. But once they start blushing like this, turning light green, like this, turning light green, you want to harvest them and keep them in a, if you are keeping them in a windowsill, you have to like rotate them so that the sun can ripen them evenly, because the sun will only ripen the part that is exposed to the sun properly. Then you have to rotate them. But if you keep them in a dark place out of sunlight, then it will ripen easily in a couple of days. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take all of them out like this, and then I'll show you what they look like when I'm done. So these are the tomatoes that I just took off of that was the entire cluster. These three over here, these are the ripest ones. We can eat them today still. This one over here hasn't ripened fully, so I'll keep that one side, and I'll give you an update on this video to show you how long it takes to ripen. This one was the one next to that, and those were the two at the end. Now why are you harvesting with this little flower and a piece of the stem here? It will just allow the tomato to ripen. This is actually what will allow the tomato to ripen. You don't want to take this off, right? So there's still a lot of tomatoes, but those were the only one that's blushing at the moment. So there, I mean, this is like a couple of days more, then they will start blushing. I think I'm going to leave it a little bit more. There's another cluster over here that still needs some time to blush a little bit more. I mean, if I take this one here, and I put it compared to the others, you can see that the one in my hand actually blushed a little bit more than the cluster over there. So I'm gonna leave that also. And then where did I see another cluster that was growing? Okay, there's another cluster growing over there. There's actually a lot of tomatoes over here. Here at the bottom you can see a few more. And now why the cluster that I just took off ripened faster is because the sun comes up from that side over there, and it comes over this side and it hits the top part of the plant here. It hits so I took that off over here, so this cluster got the most of the sun, and these ones on top also does, but I think I bruised the branch. I don't think these ones will ripen any further, but the top part over here gets more sun, and I'm thinking that these ones over here will ripen sooner because they are at the top at the moment, after these ones over there. But I think those ones will die off. You can already see that these ones are dying off here. So I'm gonna break off these branches, but I'm gonna have to tie this whole branch here to keep it up. also took off this branch because you can see how it looks like it's not well, and this will just take away the nutrients of the tomatoes if you leave this on your plant. Let me take this inside. Let me take these ones inside, these four. I'm going to take it inside and I'll show you in a couple of days, and I'll actually tell you how many days it took for it to ripen. Now this tomato plant is those are two plants that I got from my brother, and you can see that there's a lot of flowering going on here and on top here and also there, and there's small tomatoes growing over here. Let me just put my hand there so you can see the small tomatoes forming there, but these are the first ones to start forming and growing, and you can see they are much bigger. Let me check out this one tomato compared to that. You can see that they are much bigger, or rather the one in the middle is a lot bigger than the one that we just got now, the cherry tomatoes. You can see that. So these ones will grow a little bit bigger, and we're gonna harvest them the same way. But these are two plants that I got from my brother, and I just planted this over here, and it's starting to grow right now. So we'll leave this for some time because there's still a lot of tomatoes still to grow. I have to tie some of the things up here so it can, like these ones are hanging too low. You can see here, so I need to tie it up. But yeah, this is the difference of the plant looks exactly the same. It's just the type of tomatoes that you would plant. So guys, last week I took off these ones. The branch was actually a little bit bruised, and I didn't think it was gonna survive, so I took this off just like this. You can see the branch is kind of like dying down, but I was going to see if it was gonna ripen, and these two tomatoes actually fell off. So you can see that it's different. There's no flower on top of it, so, and you can see already that it's starting to shrink and lose its nutrients, and it will die down definitely. But the aim is to see if these two will be ripening. Look at my friend here, this is not for you. So, and these are the four that I just brought in now, so I'm gonna leave this here and I will tell you exactly how long. I think this will take like 3 days to ripen. There's probably 5 days, maybe these ones will take like a week to ripen, but let's see how long it takes, and then we'll actually be able to tell you exactly how long it took to ripen. And this is just something that I want to see what happens with it. So this is like 3 days later, and you can see how it's actually ripening. This one was not so ripe, but it's actually turning nice in red. We can actually start using this one, so I'm going to take this one out. We can eat this one. You can see this one needs a little bit more time to ripen, and these green ones are starting to change color a little bit. I'm going to leave these 3 as well, and these were the previous ones that we left here. Remember I told you that you have to keep I just wanted to show you that what the difference is and what it looks like if you leave that piece of flower type of thing on it. If you don't, then it will not ripen and it will just like stay green. So you can see these ones are just like kind of like dying, and these two, and I remember I told you that the plant was busy dying. So because the plant was busy dying, I kind of left it like here. So I doubted this one actually will ripen because like I said, the plant was dying, so it kind of the nutrients was cut off. So I'm gonna leave this still and see how long it takes for these ones to ripen. But this one over here, we are going to enjoy this one. Okay, so I gave it another 3 days, and you can see that this one that was actually a little bit this one can actually still stay a little bit. It's not as red as I want it to be, but I can keep it here a little bit for another, let's give it another 3 days. You can see how these two are starting to change color as well, starting to ripen up. This is another 3 days, and you can see how these are still doing nothing because of the nutrients that were cut off, and these two that has no flowers to still give it that ability to still ripen. So I'm gonna leave this. I'll come back in 3 more days and show you what that looks like. So this is about 5 days later, and you guys can see that it actually ripened nicely. And this was the one I said I'm going to leave a little bit, and then this is the one that just turned red, and now you can see it's also like ripened. And then this last one is starting to ripen, is starting to change color now. So it's gonna take like another 5 days for this one, but I won't make another update. You guys get the picture, and you get the point to say that if you have a lot of tomatoes and you save them, or you pick them and you leave them to ripen in a darker place, you'll see that you'll be able to use the tomatoes in a couple of days. Maybe after every 3 days you'll have some tomatoes ripening, and then you can start using that. And just to give you an update here, I'm going to throw these away because it just never ripened. These tomatoes just never ripened. So I came out to harvest more, and you can see that I've like filled up almost quarter of the jug, or I did fill up quarter of the jug. This is like some of the tomatoes that I'm gonna take indoors now again. You can see they started blushing, changing color. I'm gonna start ripening them from inside. And then just an update on the plant that my brother gave me. You can see this nice, lovely, big tomatoes growing. There's like 4 on this cluster over here. Let me put it like this. So there's like 2 here and 2 there, and then these ones also started growing. And then I see another cluster starting over here. Let me just put my hand here so the camera can focus. This cluster started, and then we still have some flower buds here that must still turn into tomatoes. There's still more tomatoes to grow, and these are just the flowers that my brother gave me. And then in the same pot there are 2 pepper flowers that I planted here together with the tomatoes. There's one and there's one, and you can see that here they're starting to flower, and there's the first pepper that started growing over there. So this pot is actually very, very fruitful. There's a lot of peppers, but stay tuned for the pepper video in the near future. Okay, so I'm here with Laniel, and we're gonna test this tomatoes. You're gonna take one. Jalen doesn't want one. My wife's not too lekker. She's not too well. She says the acidity in the tomatoes will not work well on tomatoes right now. So, but I'm gonna take a bite. I don't know if he's gonna take a bite, but let's see what it tastes like. Huh? Nice. Actually, you want more? Let me take a bite. It's actually nice and sweet. Well, that's proof to you that the cherry tomatoes are actually very nice. So if you like the video, if you like the information that I shared with you in terms of harvesting tomatoes, give us the like button. If you don't, give us the dislike button. If you have any questions or suggestions in terms of what you do in tomato planting, or what kind of tomatoes you like, or if you're not into the cocktail tomatoes like my son, he says he doesn't like it, leave us a comment down below. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please just click that subscribe button, and also that notification bell. So whenever we have a new update, you'll be able to be notified whenever we have a new video uploaded. But that is it for us for now. That's until next time. Keep well, stay safe, stay blessed. Away.
Why do you say away at every show?